Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good to see y'all. Hey, Miss Justice. All right, number one in here tonight. There we go, girlfriend. That's what I'm talking about. Good to see you. Much love to you. Hey, Patty Allen, number two. Hello, PG in chat. Prayers, much love. Prayers and love to you, girlfriend. God bless. And who is number three? Let me see. All right, Karen, number three in here tonight. Good to see you. God bless. And who is number four? I'm moving down through here. All right, Carla, you number four. There you go. Lots of love, PGOA, and everyone. Hey, much love to you. God bless. All right, let's get this party started. Right? The party don't start until we get there. All right. Anyway, a lot going on in the world, especially the YouTube world. It doesn't ever stop. Just keeps going around. Hey, PG's little girl. Good to see you, girlfriend. There you are. Prayers for Mama PG and family. Hey, girl, I appreciate them. I appreciate them. I'll be sending up prayers for you and yours, too. God bless you. And let's see. Storm Free, how you doing tonight? Linda, how you doing? Good to see you guys. Oh, that is beautiful, Patty. Beautiful. I appreciate that. And let's see. There's Goo Baby. How you doing? Italian Cookie. Oh, that's beautiful. I appreciate that too. Absolutely. And Miss Justice, I appreciate that. Absolutely. If you have not hit the thumbs up, please do. It's free. It's free. Hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. We're always putting out a lot of news, a lot of new news, right? If it's hitting the surface, we know it, we bring it. It helps these children. It doesn't help PG. It helps them kids. So please subscribe, hit the thumbs up. God bless. Howdy, Deputy Sheriff. Howdy to you. God bless and much love to you. Absolutely. Everybody in here is so kind, so caring. Let me see them. Mama 3, how you doing tonight? I'm trying to get everybody. Hey, Lisa. Grasshopper, how you doing? Grasshopper must take martial arts. Hey, 111. How you doing? Looking forward to hearing about the news interviews. Amen. They're coming. Wise old lady, how you doing tonight? Good to see you. Beautiful Italian cookie. Absolutely beautiful. Hey, Lynn. I appreciate that. If Pam ends up in jail, who do you think her first call is going to be to? Crime Lines and Lies. Right? She's going to call Crime Lines and Lies. Right? I seen that today. Absolutely. Hey, Texas Blue, how you doing, sweetie? Good to see you. Justice for Little Summer Moon, Utah Wells. Just chilling. Absolutely. Yeah, right, Deputy. I think that's when at the end Pam says, don't put this on YouTube. Right? It was all over YouTube. I was cracking up. And she's like, oh, my kids got took because of a bruise. Um, they don't take your kid because of a bruise. They can be explained away, right? Um, if they remove your kids, if CPS removes your kids, and they got some stuff, right? Whether it be true or not true, they got something that they have to remove the kids until they're able to understand if it's true or not untrue. So and it has to be pretty damning. It has to be pretty damning um, for them to take your children. And so point being is it had to be something damning. And if it ain't true, then you end up getting your children back, right? I mean, they immediately usually place the children. If you don't have family, then they'll usually place them, in regular foster care. But if you have family, they'll transfer them to your family while the investigation's going on, and then they'll determine whether the investigation finds to be true or the investigation finds to be untrue. And if it finds it to be untrue, the children will be, released back into your custody immediately. That's how it works. If you don't get the kids back, then obviously, well, it had to have been true. So, your kids are pretty much, and she didn't ever get them back, right? She didn't ever get them back. So it had to have been true. And, but, she was like, oh, they got took for a bruise. No, I think Pam called PG a liar, right? I think she called me a liar. No, I think you're the liar, Pam, because they ain't going to take a kid for a bruise. I mean, like when I was a kid, I'm going to tell you what, I had a whole lot of bruises. Some inflicted from the house of hell, and you know, and the cruelty in there, but a whole lot of them, were self-inflicted, right? I'd be playing, chasing someone, running, chasing someone, or maybe running away from someone. You know how kids are, and you come out of school, and you and your little girlfriends, and you got these boys that like you, and here they come chasing after you, and you run, and you end up tripping up and falling and skinning up your knees, or getting bruises on your legs, hands. um that's what kids do, right? That's what kids do. Or you decide you want to jump from the swing, see how far you can jump out from the swing, like all kids try to do. The smart ones don't, just the ones like me. And you know and somehow you didn't land on your 2 feet. You kind of you know went all wiggly wobbly, and you got your ass broke, right? You got broke. That was PG. I got broke. But yeah, a lot of times it's self-inflicted, right? You're just playing. You're just, kid, you're playing. Or you step in front of somebody that, is swinging, or somebody that's doing something stupid, and, you get knocked down, right? Also, you have, a lot of the kids, want to play dumb games where they sucker punch each other, um, you know, and you keep going back and forth, and it bruises up your arms, or your leg, or wherever they're, decide to be punching. But yeah, I mean, they can't take you for a bruise. And that's just BS. That's what I'm trying to say. It's pure bullshit. Um, Something had to be going on. And then Pam, like, she wants to clear the air. about, the neighbor's child, which made an accusation that Pam violated the child while it was in the swimming pool. You know, it came out the parents weren't even there. The child told the parents that it had been violated by Pam in the swimming pool, right? And Pam admitted she was there. She admitted that she was at the swimming pool, by the child. So I don't know. I'm not gonna sit there just because, Pam is can be evil as hell. She can be evil as hell. And she can, run off and say some pretty ugly, disgusting things about a human. And she can, she can really get under, she can really get to you, right? She can get to a human with her lies and all of her BS and the way she talks about people after you've been so kind to her and caring about her, which most people don't. And you know it because she gets on their nerves and they just don't like her. But, and I felt sorry for her. I felt sorry for Pam. Still do, to be honest. I still do. And I'm not going to say, that the accusations with the little girl was true or not true. I don't know. I wasn't there, and I don't put those kind of accusations on no one without knowing, without probable cause, without knowing for a fact or having facts that establish it, right? I don't have no facts that can establish that. I do know it went to court. That I do. And, the parents felt that, their daughter's accusations was worth filing charges against Pam. They also moved. They moved away, after that they packed up and moved away from Pam. So I don't know. I don't know, if she did or she didn't. The only one that knows that is Pam and God, right? And God. And, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, right? If the allegations were true, I don't know why a little girl would say something like that, if it wasn't true. And I mean, that's just my opinion. If one of my children said something like that, you're damn Skippy, I'm going to believe it, because my kids don't lie. And you better believe, it's not going to be good. Oh God, it ain't going to be good. But I don't know. Is that why her kids got took? Is that why her children was taken? Because they were violated, like the little girl in the pool? I don't know. That's a thought. It's a thought, right? Is that why they wasn't ever given back? That's a thought. I don't know. But I do know Pam didn't mention, she didn't mention the story, about the man that her and her mother were in a car and got unalived, right? They got unalived and they, and they kept going, they caused, this man's demise, and they just kept going. She didn't mention that. She didn't tell about that. So, but she did say that her kid's dad was deceased, right? She said her children's dad was, was deceased. And I'm wondering if that's the man, if that's the man that was, that they basically, ran over or whatever and kept going. I don't know. I don't know. I just know that she told me that she was in the car with her mother, and um, that somebody else ended up unalived because of what they done, you know, and it was a man. The man ended up unalived because of them. So I don't know, you know, I don't know what to believe, what not to believe. Um, I don't know if she's relevant to Summer or not because she mentioned she's from Arkansas. And Arkansas is where Sassy Pants is. Arkansas is where Don Wells and Candace and Pam, Don's first wife, and all of them was running a operation for essayers to touch children. Um, you know, that's what they was running out of Don and Pam's home over in Arkansas. Matter of fact, law enforcement went in and removed all of these children who had been getting essayed on that property by a bunch of damn weirdos. And some of the essayers went to jail. Some of them they didn't catch, but some of them went to jail. And all the children were took. They were, they had all been essayed, proof that they'd been essayed, and they didn't get these kids back. So, was Pam in Arkansas at this time? Was she part of that, that stuff? I don't know. I do know that she had a neighbor that kept swearing that she saw some type of van or truck or something at Pam's house right after Summer came up missing. I mean, she, trying to basically, um, basically, you know, connect Pam to Tennessee and stuff. Um, I just brushed it off as an angry neighbor, that's three sheets in the wind, and not better, but better. Um, and she's just an old lady. She's a real old lady. But now I'm thinking about it, I don't know. I have no damn idea. I mean, who was in the van? Who was in the van? Why was this van showing up right after Summer came up missing, you know, at Pam's place? Um, and I did take note that Sassy Cat and Pam sure was good buddies, from the get go out here, like long lost friends, right? Like a couple of long lost friends out here in the YouTube world, um, from day one, right? From day one of Sassy Cat coming out here and stuff. So I mean, put a one in the chat if you took note to that too. How buddied up Pam was, to Lisa J. Um, I took note to that. I thought that was a little peculiar. Um, but I don't know. I don't know. If that's something I would have to get more details on. Something I would have to, basically look into and research and do a little more extensive, looking into that. Now I did go to Arkansas. I did go to Arkansas. I don't video, like JLRs and Justin and all of them because I can't afford for my identity to be out there. I don't want my identity out here. And your video in a house. I mean, next thing you know, people, looking through the window of the house you're videoing to see, the reflection. Who's behind that? Who's behind that camera? Who's behind, who is this? What do they look like? What are they built like? Um, they're all over it. And so I don't do that. I don't, you know, um, live stream that stuff. I'm not going to, because, keeping me and my family safe is more important than, being out there doing that kind of stupidity. But, I did go there. I did, I seen that hellhole. I seen that, um, that ran down, um, Arkansas. Yeah, I did. I mean, it looks like the main hub for every prisoner in the United States. That's just my opinion. I ain't got nothing against Arkansas. I'm just saying that's the vibe I got, in the areas that I was. Now they might be really nice areas in Arkansas. I'm sure there probably is. But the areas I was in, you know, where Don Wells and Sassy Cats and these people supposed to be, affiliating themselves, was um put it this way, honey, it ain't came up in the world. Okay? It hasn't came up in the world. Um Maybe got worse. I don't know. I mean, I wasn't there back then, but from what I seen, wow, what a fucking dive. And the people, surrounding this, around this area and everything, um, they just look like they crawled out, they didn't only crawl out of jails, but they crawled out of hell. Um, just it was horrible. I mean, these are people you don't want, you don't want them making your food. You don't want nothing from them. Um, you just dare, pack a fucking lunch, right? Stop at a grocery store, um, walk around with the Night of the Living Dead, hope you can find something that maybe they didn't touch, and pack it for lunch, and do what you need to do and get the hell out of there before dark. And then, come back when it's daylight again. If you need to stay there a couple of days, at least leave, get out of there, before nighttime. Go stay away from there, um, at a hotel, and then come back, into Arkansas when the sun comes up, because you don't want to be around there at nighttime. It's not good. That Arkansas ain't good. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if any of you are affiliated with it. I don't know if any of you've ever been through it. And that's about all I would want to do, is go fucking through. Actually, I want to bypass it. I only was there because, Sassy Cat was telling where this house was, and the garage in the back area, and she was describing the neighborhood, and I just wanted to see if what she was describing was truth. And it was. I mean, she knew exactly what she was talking about when she was talking about that. Um, I just needed to check her credentials, basically, to make sure, she was being on the level with everybody. Um, and what was going on and going down around there. And anyway, so that it did pan out to be true. And I mean, and you guys know, if you've been to Arkansas, you know exactly what the hell I'm talking about, right? When it comes to the people, when it comes to, it's just, put it this way. Uh, I would never set a homestead up there, and I don't plan on going back, right? I don't ever plan on going back. You know, been there, done that, no way. I mean, when I vacation, I hope to just pass it the hell up. If I'm going that way, just pass it up. Don't bother to even stop in. I just want to keep going. Stay on the freeway. Hit the next state. Hit the state before it, hit the state after it, but don't hit that state. Um, to be perfectly honest, I didn't see anything beautiful in Arkansas. I didn't see nothing. Um, I didn't see nothing. I mean, it had big roads that stretched out, right? Like roads that stretched out in different directions and stuff like that. But I can't say it was beautiful. Uh, you know, um, Florida is beautiful. Um, California used once upon a time. California was beautiful. Um, you know, uh, there's a lot of beautiful places. A lot of beautiful places. You know, um, Tennessee's beautiful, right? Virginia, West Virginia, beautiful, very beautiful. I mean, breathtaking, breathtaking. Especially in the fall. In the fall, when everything, when the trees and everything are turning different colors, and the mountains, you could see the mountains, um, shining through the dew of the morning and so forth. Um, just beautiful. That's beautiful. I didn't see any of that. I didn't see none of that in Arkansas. And Alabama, um, I don't know. Alabama, Alabama is like, um, Alabama is like a shit ton of freeways. I mean, the main roads. It's like being on. It's like not ever getting off the freeway, right? Um, I can't say I necessarily care for Alabama either, because it's like one big damn freeway everywhere you're going. And I mean, even when you're inside of Alabama, it's like you're still on a freeway. And I don't, that's just not for me. And I didn't really see, anything beautiful there. Um, I might have missed it. I might have missed it, but I didn't see nothing beautiful. Just, just look like a dusty, get down, turn around, go to town. Um, every which way, mixed up roads. Place to me is the best way I can describe it. I wouldn't. I keep going. I keep going past that too. You know, um, Louisiana. Louisiana's pretty. You know, I got to say they do have. Louisiana's a pretty place. Um, Mississippi. Mm, I'm sure they probably, if I had a lot more time, I probably would have, might have found some beauty in it. But most of these places I go, I don't spend that much time there. I visit up, you know, I visit up these places for, you know, maybe a few days, and that's about all I could take of it. Um, Florida, Florida, I could stay there forever. I love Florida. Um, California, mm, I could spend a few weeks there, but I'd want to leave. I'd want to leave after a few weeks. Ain't exactly, it ain't exactly, my kind of place. They do have some beautifulness there, but it's not my kind of place. Um, I don't like, I don't like the restrictions. I don't like the way it's ran. I don't like, there's a whole lot about it. I don't like the prices. I don't like everybody gets gouged. Shit's too expensive. So that's not a fave of mine. Tennessee is beautiful. Tennessee is absolutely amazing. It's got a beautiful sky, beautiful. I mean, Tennessee's just beautiful, period. They got a lot of beautiful places. Don't let Ben Hill fool you, because Tennessee has, some real eye catching beauty within it. But Sassy Cat, was stuck over there in Arkansas, and Pam, we just learned that Pam was in Arkansas as well. And did they know each other from Arkansas? Did Pam know the Wells from Arkansas? I don't know. I don't know. I know Pam's been on Summer's case from day one. I know she's really took a hell of an interest in it. I know that, she stayed on top of it, diligently stayed on top of Summer's case, right? So, I don't know. I have, I found that to be, um, weird, kind of weird for somebody that, that's been through as much as Pam's, been through. And I mean, what I'm saying, I found it weird, that somebody that's lost their kids would, and had a neighbor kid, make an accusation that it made against Pam, and just Pam's background. I found it kind of, odd that she would be, affiliating herself with missing children's cases. Most of the people out here, in this YouTube community, you know, they have kids, right? Um, they have children, or they have grandchildren, or they have great grandchildren. I mean, and their concern and everything is, of the world we live in today, and they want to, you know, be up to speed and able to acknowledge, what is going on in our world today, what they need to be watching out for, what they need to be um, teaching their their children and grandchildren and great grandchildren and stuff to be aware of, right? And by getting into these true crime communities like this, you learn a lot of stuff you didn't know, right? Um you learn the faces of evil. You learn, stuff that you had no idea was going on in this world. Because for most of us, we are very trusting human beings. You know what I'm saying? We want to trust people. We want to affiliate ourselves with other folks, and we didn't realize how blind we was to the evils that's going on in this world. We didn't realize, how dangerous it is to let your kids go around other kids, right? We didn't really think about, what's in the damn house, um, with, with those kids, um, that our children were affiliating ourselves with. You know, we had no idea that people like Don and Candace Wells even exist in this world where they're trying to, where they're trying to groom children that their children are bringing around. We didn't have no idea that there's people, that use their children in order to try to groom other people's children. There's a whole lot you're learning out here that is very beneficial, to you and your family, right? To your family, to be fucking watching out for, and to not be so trusting. Once you get out here in this community, you don't trust people like you used to. You be, you're like doing background checks right before you let your kid hang with another kid. You're like, you're doing background checks on the parents and stuff, like, what kind of people are these? I mean, are they essayers? Do they have criminal records? Do they keep things in their house? Have they been in trouble for substance abuse? I don't want my kids near that, right? After being out here, you're like 1,000 times smarter than you were before when it comes to all this criminal, this criminal activity that's going on in our world in so many different forms. You can't keep up with them all. Half of them you can't even believe, right? It often keeps you awake at night saying, damn, could this even be true? Could people like this even exist? I don't know. And then you have to research it. You have to look into it. And then when you find out, you're researching it and everything, when you find out, you're like all shocked and shit. You're like, dang, it is true. What the fuck? Right? I can't believe it. This is weird. Yeah. And then you're forced to face the truth. And then you be staring at people like, whoa, could they be one of them? Because you don't know. The people you've seen that did this stuff, if you didn't know, you'd be at their mercy, right? If you had no idea, you'd be at the mercy. You'd be standing there all stupid and everything, and they'd be getting one over on you. They'd all be having their eyes on your kids and shit, or they'd be having their eyes on you, or maybe maybe someone else in your family, and you'd be like, whoa, and this out here teaches you, trust nobody, be careful, don't take chances, don't be stupid, right? Don't be stupid. It's better to, what did old people used to say? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Is that what they said? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the way it goes. Use that ounce of prevention. Because I'm going to tell you something. The shit we're hearing and stuff, I don't even think there's a cure. There's no cure, baby. How do you cure? How do you cure yourself or your child from what these sick fuckers do? There's no cure for that. I don't care, they ain't that many pounds in the world. It's weird. It makes you realize why, Your parents were always saying, you know, not to be affiliating with other people. It's just going to bring trouble. Don't be bringing people home to dinner. Don't be affiliating yourself with people. You go to your job, you do your job, you go to your job alone and you come home alone. You leave those people alone, right? Make sure you take care of yourself. Don't be so eager. Don't be so eager to try to make friends. Your parents warn you. But you don't listen. You're like, you just don't want me to have no friends. You just want me to be around this boring ass house all the time, cleaning and helping and doing, and you just don't want me to have no friends, right? I'm tired of this place. I'm tired of all the rules. I'm tired of everything. I can't wait till I'm old enough to just go out there and do what I want to do. And then you get old enough to go out there and do what you want to do. And you realize, your freaking parents were right. They was wanting you to stay home and be safe. That's what they wanted. They didn't care if you cleaned. They didn't care if you cooked. They didn't care if you did anything. They just wanted to know where you was. They just wanted to know you were okay. You had it all wrong. They was just worried about you. And they knew, because they knew the shit you could get into and the trouble you could get into. But you had to go out there and find out for yourself, right? You had to go out there. You had to find out for yourself. And you did. And you did. And you found out, and you found, finally, at some point you found out, hey, I don't got no damn friends, right? I ain't got no damn friends. They ain't nobody your fucking friend. The only friend you got in this world is Jesus Christ. God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit. The angels will watch over you. And they're commanded to do that. They're commanded to do it. Whether they like you or not, they're commanded to do it, to watch over you. But, and if you're lucky, your mama. A lot of mamas don't like you. A lot of mamas don't like their kid. So if you're lucky, your mama likes you. Your mama cares about you. Your mama worries about you. That's a hard find too, right? Hey, Crystal, how you doing, sweetie? I got told all the time I'm too overprotective, but they don't realize what I already know about the dangers of people. And I still get fooled sometimes, but God always reveals the truth. Amen. Second to none. Absolutely. That's what I'm talking about right there. That's what I'm talking about. Like I tell my kids, there's a lot of wolves in sheep clothing. Beware. And I raise my kids to understand that you ain't got no friends. You ain't got no friends. Let something happen. I'm going to tell you what. This is how you know you ain't got no friends. The big C word happened, right? The big C word. Big C came out. Everybody panicked, right? Everybody panicked. Did your friend bring you any toilet paper? Did your friend bring you any paper towels? Hell no. Hell no. If they was lucky enough to get toilet paper or paper towels, they wasn't going to give it to you. They wasn't going to give it to you. They kept it, or they're going to give it to their family, right? During the big C word, it was what? Everybody for theirself. You had no friends. You were all cooped up, all by yourself, right? That's what you was. It was everybody for themselves, every family for themselves. That's the way it went. You ain't got no friends. you know, hey, they wasn't care. They didn't care if your backside was getting cleaned or not. They was worried about their own backside. And and that's how shit goes down. That's how shit goes down in the hood, right? That's how it goes down, y'all. You know, you're hanging with all your friends. All your friends, they got your back. They got your back. And as soon as some shit goes down, you're just standing there by yourself, right? They all scattered in different directions, and you're standing there. You're just standing there, like, where the hell did everybody go, right? And then when you stood there and you was facing whatever came, whatever happened, because you just wasn't going to run. You don't know why everybody else is taking off, you know, or even if you have an ideal, you're like, I ain't going to do it, I'm not going to be yellow. I'm not running. It ain't in me. And everything came down, and you made it through. You made it through. Then they all want to come back around, right? They all want to come back around, and want to buddy up to you, man, you left my ass in the dust, right? You left my ass in the dust. Don't even motherfucking talk to me. Don't be bringing your ass back after you did that. Like, that's the way people are. They all be hiding. They all be hiding. Mother freaking Popo pulls up, they gone. Right? You on your own, baby. Amen. Absolutely. True friends stick together. They don't hide. They don't hide when shit gets hard, when shit gets tough, right? They ain't hiding. But they do. But they do. I'm going to tell you, I learned the hard way. PG had to learn the hard way. And a lot of us do. I ain't the only one. There's a ton of people in here tonight, a ton of you listening. You learned the hard way, baby. You had to hit that. You got in that fast lane, you had to hit the wall. Yeah, your parents, nobody could stop you. You had to hit the wall. And we forget that. Sometimes we forget that we had to hit the wall. And that our kids have to, sometimes our kids have to hit the wall too, right? Sometimes our kids they ain't going to listen to us. They got to hit the wall. And we just got to pray that, like us, they make it. A lot of people don't. But we got to pray they make it, right? I mean, I pray that mine don't have to hit a wall. I pray mine's smart enough to learn, to learn by other people's mistakes, not to be making them. I wasn't that smart. But, I hope my kids are. I hope I've taught and instilled that in them. But, if they do hit that wall, I just pray like myself. They make it. They make it through. Because I've seen a lot of people hit the wall. And that was the end. That was the end, baby. There was a whole lot of, there was a whole lot of sad talking and some slow walking. They didn't make it. And that happens, it happens every day. with people that don't know how to listen. Hey, girl, that's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. Pray for one another. We pray together, we'll stay together. God will see to that. Anyway, I wanted to come in and talk about the oldest boy. Now, I heard, yes, he is very much set up, very much already set up to come out at 18. Once he turns 18, he's coming out. He wants to come out. He's got so much bottled up, and this is what I'm hearing. Now, I don't know, but I'm hearing he's got so much bottled up that, and he's talked to law enforcement and feels that, is what he has to say is falling on deaf ears. Basically they told law enforcement a lot of stuff, and law enforcement didn't use it for him. They felt it was used against them. The people who did evil to him is still free, and they feel like they had to pay the price. He feels like he had to pay the price. He don't have a forever home because of what his parents did. And their home, they're still in the same home. They got a home, the same home, and they went nowhere. And him and his brothers, they got pulled out. They got split apart. And it seems like they paid the price for the evil that was done against them. And the parents just got off free. So the boy feels like, all the confessions and everything that they done fell on deaf ears, and wasn't, and wasn't really heard or prosecuted. And they feel that's just not fair, especially the oldest one. These are the feelings that he's having. And he ain't wanting to talk to law enforcement anymore. He's wanting to talk. To the news stations. He's wanting to talk out here in the open. And he, and lay this burden down. Of what went on June 15th and before. And after what happened, So he's wanting to air it out in the air, is to my understanding. And I think that's good. I think that's great therapy for this boy to be able to come out. And I'm not going to discourage him. I will not discourage this young man from coming out and airing out everything, that he wants to say, so that he can put a lot of this behind him and past him, and just try to proceed in life with a normal life afterwards. Yes, it was for law enforcement, and law enforcement was told, and they didn't damn listen, or listen good enough to give these kids, to let these kids feel that they got some type of restitution for what happened to them. They feel they got no restitution at all for the hell that they was put through and had to endure, even to now. And if they want to come out here and they want to use us to get some relief from everything that they have had no relief from, hey, who are we to stop them? I don't think we should be trying to stop them. I think we should be here for them. I think we should be their support. If they need us, if they feel they need us, we should be here for them. That's my thinking. You know. Sometimes you just need someone to talk to, right? You just need someone to listen. Not really say anything, but just listen. Just understand what you're going through. To understand how hard life can be, you know, for another human being. It might not be the same thing you're going through. Maybe you ain't ever been through it. But I'm going to tell you what, everyone in this world's worth listening to. Because, no matter, even if you ain't ever went through it or know how it is to go through it, you're getting, that person's giving you a gift. When someone sits down and they actually want to talk with you, and they need a set of ears to listen to them, they're giving you a gift. And that gift that they're giving you is knowledge and wisdom. Maybe you ain't went through it. Maybe you ain't ever even heard of it. But I'm going to tell you what, you did now. You know about it now. And if the occasion ever arises for you or your child or another loved one in your family or a friend, well, now you got the wisdom to know what this kind of stuff, what kind of effect this kind of stuff will have on a human being. Even though it didn't ever happen to you, you got gifted by someone that it did. And now you fully understand the impact of what this situation could do to another human. And it can and it could be very handy to cut someone off from doing and making that same damn mistake. Someone you love, someone close to you at some time. Don't ever let an ounce, not an ounce of wisdom get past you. I know a lot of people, they're like, I don't want to hear other people's problems. I got enough of my own. I don't want to hear all this. And you know what? They're going to have more problems because they didn't listen to nobody else's in order to be wise enough to keep other people, even themselves, from making them damn mistakes. They fell victim. If they'd have just took the time to listen to someone else, well, they might have saved themselves or someone else in the future. But they didn't. Knowledge is something that you pass on. You hand it down. Wisdom and knowledge is powerful, and it's something that continues to go down the family line. It's something that that continues to help people in the future. It doesn't ever run out. That's what I'm trying to say. It does not ever run out. I'm handing knowledge down to my kids that came from their great grandparents. How do I know it came from great grandparents? Because my grandparents told me, or my mom told me, my grandmother used to do this, this, and this, and this. Or my grandmother wouldn't do this, 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 and this. And the thing is that's knowledge that you can use and your children can use. And let me tell you, I've had to use it many times. Some of the knowledge I have, I've had to use many times. Good to know. Good to know. God bless the people who took the time to instill it in me. But God bless me for taking the time to listen. right? That's what it's about. The Wells kids have already talked. Now, this to my knowledge. They've already talked to the feds. They've talked to regular law enforcement. They have, talked to attorneys that, on their behalf, that was sought out on their behalf. They have talked to Child Protective Services. They have talked to everybody. How would you feel if you were a child in the Wells house? If you were a little child in the Wells house getting done the way these children were done, and CPS comes and rips you away from this place, a place you ain't never, yes, you're going through hell, but you ain't ever knowed anything different. And you're still scared. You're still scared when they take you away. You're afraid. They put you in a place you don't want to be. They're trying to make you follow rules you don't want to follow. They're doing all these things that you're really not interested in doing because you didn't know anything else before. And, and you don't understand they left you there so long. Why are they taking you now? Right? Why are they pulling you apart now? And then you confide in them. You confide in the feds. You confide in law enforcement. You confide in Child Protective Services. You confide all of the evil things and the deeds and everything done. And and basically the only thing you get is completely removed from your parents, but your parents still gone free after doing all the evil stuff to you. You told all the embarrassing shit, all the stuff you didn't want to talk about, all the things that was so hard for you to even, manage to put into words. And you had this little gleam of hope that you're going to see a little justice done to these people who did it to you. But you find out they're just still free. And nobody gave a damn. And the only thing you got was completely removed and put into a place, where nobody else wanted you. You're in a halfway house because nobody else wanted to keep you. They felt that life made you a monster too, that nobody wanted to take in. And you had to live with a bunch of other people just like yourself, misfits that nobody wanted. You're aging out and you feel like you got all the punishment for what was done to you. And nobody mother freaking listened, and you didn't get an ounce of restitution from any of it. Matter of fact, you had to live every day asking yourself why. Nobody gave a shit about you. Even enough to prosecute the son of a bitches that turned you into what people didn't want. Right? How would you like to be that person? You wouldn't. But the oldest Wells boy is. That's who he is. And that's how he feels. And that's what he wants to talk about. He's done talked to all of those other people who didn't want to listen, who didn't give a damn. Well, I, for one, want to hear him. I want to hear what this boy has to say. I want to know. I have a need to know what the hell went on before during and after Summer came up missing. Why, PG? I'll tell you why. I want to know because it is important to me to get Summer found, to get the justice that the Wells have not been prosecuted for yet. That's why it's important to PG. I want these boys to get the closure in all of this they deserve. And if damn law enforcement can't do it, then you know what? I think this young boy can. I think he can by getting an army behind him that's going to listen and it's going to help him find the right people to get his sister's case solved. That is going to give law enforcement no choice but to do what's right in the sight of God and in the sight of everyone out here. What they haven't done so far. I think it's important for that boy to talk. That's just my opinion. I'll keep it. You know, I'm a very easy person to get along with in this world. I've been out here 4.5 years. You guys know that. You know that PG's very easy to get along with. I agree to disagree. I have no problem with it. None. None at all. Because I know that every person's entitled to their opinions. I know that, you know, everybody ain't going to share the same sentiments. Absolutely not. And that's okay. That's okay. I wouldn't want people to. You know what a boring life this would be if everybody agreed on everything? This would be a sucky ass life. I mean, you wouldn't have nobody, you know, you wouldn't have nobody to haggle with, right? You wouldn't have nobody, you know, to toss different ideals at one another and finally make something out of both ideals that were being tossed, right? What I'm trying to say is, you know, somebody, you know, knew how to form bricks. What, you know, what the formula was to make bricks. Somebody else knew the formula to make mortar. And they put that together and they could build a house, right? They could build a house. That's what I'm talking about. Now, if these people didn't get together and they didn't toss ideals, a house wouldn't have ever got built. So it's okay to not agree. It's okay to be who you are. I wouldn't have it any other way. You know, you is what I love. The real you. I don't like people that, you know, always want to, you know, if they do agree with me, I say, hey, you know, we're on the same page. We think alike. And that's beautiful. But, you know, if they don't, that's why I love them. You know, that's why I love them. I love them because they're going to be who they are. I love the person that agrees with me because they're being who they are. We just happen to, you know, to think alike. And there's nothing wrong with that either. But you got to love people for who they are. You know, not who you want them to be. Because you know, or who you're trying to make them be. You can't do that. You know, it when you meet a friend, you got to make sure you like everything about that friend. I mean, if you meet someone, they don't immediately become a friend. When you meet somebody, sometimes they do. Sometimes they do. Sometimes you immediately like someone and they like you. But sometimes, usually it don't. Usually you hang around with somebody and, you get to know their likes and their dislikes. You get to know, you know, if they're easygoing or not. You get to know, if they like to joke or if they're serious. You get to know stuff about them. And, and in order for you to become friends, you got to like something about them, right? You got to like something. There's some people you just don't like nothing about. Some people you meet, you just don't like them. You're like oil and water, right? You just don't like them. And ain't nothing you can do about that. They're just not for you. They're not your people. They're not your kind of people. And that's okay. That's all right, because you're not going to get along with everybody in the world. Absolutely not. Like, you ain't going to fool everybody in the world, right? You're not going to fool everybody in the world either. You might fool some people some of the time, but you ain't going to fool everybody all the time. It's just the way it is. But you get to know them, and then you like them, and you have them around, and everything works great. Now, if you don't like someone, don't fucking have them around. Do not think you're going to change them. Do not ever think you're going to take someone and change them, because I'm going to tell you right now, you're not. You ain't doing nothing but freaking feeding a fantasy in your own damn head. You better make sure because what you see, baby, is what you get. And if you don't like what you're seeing, you better send it on down the road. Tell it to start stepping, because you're not changing it. If you can live with it, hey, I can live around it. Right? That's what I'm talking about. That's just the way it goes. But I'm going to tell you, my question is, there's no doubt in my mind. There's no doubt in my mind that this older boy might be able to get Candace and Grandis put in prison. There is no doubt in my mind about that. But will they be able to put Dawn in prison? See, Summer's not here. The main person that Dawn preyed upon is gone, right? I believe Candace took the main one that Dawn Wells preyed upon to that swimming hole, and and had Hunter do an awful bad thing. In my opinion, that's my opinion. Now, here's the thing. Since Summer's the one that he preyed on is gone, will this boy be able to get justice for his sister where Dawn Wells is concerned? Will he be able to do? I know he can get it for his sister through Candace and Grandis, because they was the ones there that day. They was the ones, they were the ones running the show. So of course, he can get justice. And also, Candace and Grandis, were doing bad stuff to these kids. They were doing bad stuff, especially Candace, to the boys. So the boys have that. They have firsthand what she did to them. So that can get, that can come back, bite her in the ass and get her thrown in prison. If this boy turns 18 and he feels that, that they didn't do him right in his childhood and let him get the restitution he deserved out of Don and Candace and Grandis for all the hell and anxiety and shit that he put up with, well, he can get a lawyer and he can come back and demand after 18 and getting that restitution. He can say, I'm a damn adult now, and I'm old enough to walk in that courtroom, and I'm old enough to testify upon these bastards, and I want the justice that I didn't get because I was a child. And he can get justice now. Oh, hell yeah. And he can get restitution as well. Him and his brothers can actually own 110 Ben Hill Road. Whatever that property brings, it'll go 3 ways. They deserve restitution. What they didn't get in childhood because no one was willing to give it to them. So yes, absolutely, they can come back and get these people in prison. No doubt in my mind. But can they get Don Wells? That's going to be a different story. Because Don wasn't there June 15, 2021. He was hiding at work. He was hiding where he often hid when all the evil stuff was happening. When Child Protective Services was coming around, you heard Dudley. Don says, I can't go home. CPS is coming. I can't be there. Right? He was hiding. He was always hiding. He was keeping himself out of the picture. Protecting his ass. So what can the boys do at that particular, level? I don't know, unless he violated them too. And I got a feeling he might have. That's just my opinion, but I got a feeling he may have. That's just what I think. I think he did. Especially the middle boy. The middle boy. I think Don did do some stuff to. That's just my opinion. I think he may be able to testify some stuff that'll get Don, out of the picture and in a prison. I don't know. We got to wait and see. And we're also going to have to wait and see if the other 2 boys are going to join their brother on his expedition once he gets out of the, it might as well be prison, after he gets out of the halfway house that he has so long been in, right? So we just got to wait and see. And that's how that boy feels. He feels like he got sent to the cell instead of the people who did this to him. He didn't get to live in a regular house with normal people, eating at a regular table, sleeping in a regular bed, going to a regular school, feeling part of a community, feeling part of a family and a home. He didn't ever get that. The other 2 boys did, but he didn't get that. And that's super hard on him. And you know something? I don't think that that this older boy can comprehend that as well, Stephanie. Absolutely not. I think he's having a hard time believing it too. That's just, that's just my opinion. Um, Debbie says, Stephanie, I agree. Don Wells is alleged, on Liver too. Don Wells was home part of the day. Um, we don't know. We don't know. Um, I don't believe he was. That's just my opinion. I do not believe Don Wells was anywhere near 110 Ben Hill Road from the time he left in the morning after he packed Summer out and put her in Grandis's vehicle that morning, and he got in his vehicle and left. And Candace waited for Grandis to get ready and come out, and they left as well. After Dawn left, they left. I don't think Don Wells was anywhere near 110 Ben Hill Road until that phone call from Candace came through to let him know the job was done and law enforcement needs to be called now. It's time to put on the show and act like she got kidnapped and everything, and they don't know what happened, and do all their bullshit, like they did. And I think he hid. I think he hid at that job site the whole damn day, making sure plenty of people saw his ass to prove he was there when all that shit went down. That's just my opinion, because he's a coward. Don Wells is one hell of a coward. Hey Kenny, how you doing, girl? Oh yeah, so do I, Jenny. So do I. I certainly hope so. God bless the child. Um, they're not going to just put him on the street. They're going to they'll move him. They'll move him into like an apartment with other boys. They help him get a job and save up some money, and then they have a choice. They can go in with some of the other kids, that's aging out, and get an apartment, and all of them split the rent and stuff, kind of like college kids would do. Or he can work and save up, and move into a place on his own. That's going to be his choice. Most of the time, two or three of them aging out, um, get jobs. The shelter, the place helps them, lines them up jobs, and they start working, and they all pay a certain percentage. Say it's $2,000, and Tennessee probably about 2 grand to live in a 3-4 bedroom place. Um, with utilities. That ain't including food. That would be, separate. But to pay the rent and all the utilities for a 3 or 4 bedroom place, it would be about 2 grand a month. And what would happen is they would have 3 or 4, if it was 4 of the kids aging out going to go in on this place, then they pay $500 a piece, and the rest of the money they would save and buy their food out of and stuff like that. So basically, like, if they got a good job, 1 week pay would pay for their rent and utilities and everything. And then they got 3 weeks to save and buy whatever they want. Get them a car, whatever they want to save for or spend the money on. Um, Hopefully they don't get mixed up, with illegal substances and stuff, and end up homeless. But if they keep working and they stay on the righteous path, then they could save one paycheck for a vehicle and use the other two to eat and buy clothes and and transportation. What time um, what time they're waiting to get themselves a vehicle. Um, so I think it's a great plan. Um, if not, I mean, he could choose to, rent $700 or $800 one bedroom, some crappy one bedroom place. Um, it'll take a couple weeks, like, his first paycheck would go to the rent and everything, and his second paycheck would be for transportation, clothes, and food. So he would barely be getting by. He would barely be getting by, you know, um, unless he got one hell of a job. I mean, and to get that kind of a job, you have to have, um, an associate's or a bachelor's degree, and which I don't know, you know, because some high schoolers, they set them up early to start getting college credits, and then they go straight on into college and finish up their associates or their bachelors, right? And and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I don't know if they're going to do that with him or not. If they did, it would be a really nice thing, and and he would be able to he could be a child service worker himself. And hell, if he was a child service worker, well, he ain't gonna have no problems paying his rent and utilities and buying food. They pay pretty good money. That's a state job, and they get a lot of extra benefits, and that normal people don't get, and so forth and so on. So, you know, yeah, he wouldn't have a real bad problem at all. And seeing all of his situation, if he came out and he got a job that wasn't paying too good of money, then the shelter would hook him up with the state, and the state would give him so much funding, um, for a certain amount of time. They would give him so much funding to help him, to pack him over and carry him, um, till he could, do better for himself. They would help him out. Tim Mullins, I don't know. Tim Mullins is really weird, and he has been, um, he's really been on the boys, right? He's really been on the boys, big time, bad, pretty bad, you guys, right? Sally, absolutely. Uh, the boy could already been back on Ben Hill Road if he wanted to. He could have got emancipated at the age of 16 years old. He could have asked to be emancipated, to be, considered an adult, and he could have went back to Ben Hill Road if he wanted to. He didn't want to. He did not want to go back to Ben Hill Road. Absolutely not. Um, Sally, he did spill the beans to the authorities. Him and his brother spilled the beans to authorities. And Don and Candace Wells, what happened was Don and Candace signed the boys over to the state in order to avoid prosecution. The boys did not get any restitution. They did not get any justice or justification. They got nothing. They got absolutely nothing except signed over to the state and felt like they got put like they got punished for what their parents did to them. Now that they're turning of age, now that the oldest one's turning of age, he's ready to come out here and he's ready to tell the people about how he didn't get the justice that him and his brothers deserved. He's about to come out here and tell you what law enforcement and them didn't fucking do. And that's how it is with children in there. That's what I'm trying to explain. But I'm sure, I'm sure when he comes out and you guys are hearing it from him instead of PG, you'll understand it. Oh yeah. Of course he does, Sally. Absolutely. He knows what neglect and SA signs look like because he went through it all, right? He went through it all. And he was groomed to do it to others, to my understandings. According to Allison, he was groomed to be doing it to others. Others was complaining that it was being done to them. Right? Absolutely. Oh yeah. I think when he comes out and he tells his story, he tells his brother's story, he tells his sister's story because she's no longer here to tell it. I think you guys are going to be very damn surprised to hear how horrific the abuse up there was. I don't think, until this kid comes out, well, young man comes out and starts talking about, all the evilness that has been done to him and his family that, has caused long, life-lasting repercussions. And trauma. I don't think we won't ever get the gist of it until we hear it. That's what I'm saying. And I think people need to hear it. I for one believe that people need to hear it. I think people need to face the truth about how damn evil really is. I'm going to tell you, half the battle of stopping evil and keeping it away from you is understanding what the hell you're dealing with. If you don't understand what you're dealing with, you have no way to protect yourself against it. You have to know what you're dealing with, and you have to face the truth upon it if you want to be able to, overcome it. Just saying. And that's why a lot of people get got. A lot of people get got because they're not willing to face what's getting them. Just saying. Oh, yeah. No doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. And counseling's expensive. I mean, they nobody be giving you free counseling. Nobody be giving you free counseling, especially men. Women can get free counseling if they got kids and stuff. They can get help paying for their counseling and everything. But men, there's not, most men have to work and pay for it, right? They have to work and pay for it. And they just can't afford to take care of them and do that as well. Right? Um, I don't know, you guys. I don't know. You know, um, you gotta be a pretty ugly, low, low, low life, low hearted human being to, come at a victim who's been so victimized by such evilness. You got to be pretty damn disgusting if you're willing to victimize a victim. That's the best way I can put it. There is people that low. There is people who, have no problem victimizing a victim. There is people who sit there, and have the audacity to say, they don't care what happened to you, ain't their problem. You have people to have the audacity to sit there and say they don't believe that happened to you, that you're a liar, and try to put the seed of doubt in other people's minds that you've been victimized, and they victimize you again after all the hell you've already been through. Um, you know, because they want to be a pop sucker to the fucking predator, and don't give a damn. There's a lot of people that don't give a damn if someone victimizes other human beings or how bad they victimize them. As long as they're not the one getting victimized, they don't give a shit. They would want people to give a shit if they were the victim. But as long as they're not the victim, they don't give a damn. That's what I'm trying to say. And, and, well, I guess, you got to leave those people to God. You got to leave them to God. I'm sure God will, at some point, some way, somehow, um, you know, make them the victim, or or one of their family members, somebody they love, a victim. And then you know, they'll understand how they victimized um, other victims. Because, when you become a victim or someone you love becomes a victim, you're going to have the same thing you were doing. You're going to have someone calling you a liar. You're going to have someone saying, oh, I don't believe that's true. You're going to have someone saying, oh, I don't give a damn as long as it ain't me. And you're going to feel exactly what that person felt. But you should have knew that you're going to feel it, or someone you loved and cared about is going to feel it when you acted the way you acted. Because God says, I'm going to measure it up whether it be good or bad, I'm going to measure it up and I'm going to pour it back out on you. So when you did it, you knew it's getting poured back on you. So you shouldn't be surprised when it is, right? Shouldn't be surprised. That's why you don't do it. You don't do mean stuff because you don't want it poured back out upon you or someone you love, even worse, someone you love. God knows your heart. He don't care what you look like outside. He cares what you look like on the inside. That's what God cares about. And he knows your insides. He knows if you care more about yourself or you care about others. And if you're the person that cares more about yourself, then you'll probably be the victim. If you actually got a heart for the people you love, it'd probably be one of them because that's going to be harder on you. But he's going to pour it out, and you're going to face it because you didn't have the compassion and the kindness and the caring and the love and the mercy that you should have had when you could have had it. When you had that opportunity, you passed it up. That blame it on no one but yourself. I try to do all good things, so all good things go up there, and I get all good things poured back upon me. I don't want none of that. I don't want none of that bad stuff poured upon PG. I don't want to have to endure any of that ugliness. So I try to do all good. I gotta, it's like life is a scale, man. You gotta measure. You gotta measure. You gotta make sure that that you're calling it the way you see it. You shouldn't, don't put a weight where it don't belong. Don't be making things tilt to suit your need or your want or your jealousy or your ugliness or whatever the case may be. Don't do it. Always keep that scale even and know what you're talking about when you're talking. When I say Don, Candace, and Grandis are evil as hell, well, I'm going to tell you what, they are. And we have proof. If I didn't have no proof, I would be like, well, I don't know. I don't know. I would be honest with you. I'd say, hey, I don't know. If I didn't, but I fucking do. We all do. We all understand how evil these fuckers are and what they put these children through. And no child should ever be put through that. Nobody should have to ever live with disgusting mothers like that, right? Nobody. That's just the way it is. And I'm telling the truth. And if the truth hurts them, that's tough fucking shit. I don't care. Somebody needs to tell them the truth because obviously the bastards ain't ever heard it and they're not facing it. And they need to face it and make a change. Right? They need to face it and make a change. Quit being the evil fucks you are. And start trying to get some God in your life. That's what I got to say. They need to go to, this is just my personal opinion. They need to be in prison. All three of them. That's what I think. That's what I think. I mean, who runs off and hides at work while their little girl's being destroyed? Who fires their coworker, an innocent man, to blame it on? To mother freaking blame it on. Try to get an innocent man sent to prison for your own evil, dirty fucking deeds. Who does that? I mean, this speaks high volumes of evilness where the Wells are concerned. Very high volume. Right? Hey, CJ, I'm bringing you up, girlfriend. How you doing, CJ?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm doing good, lovely lady.
I had a little bit I wanted to add to your chat tonight because I've been really deep in prayer about this young man coming out. I won't say his name, but anyway, I've been in prayer about it, and he may not be listening tonight anywhere, but if he
But
is,
he
I
might
would
be
like
listening. He's been listening.
I would like to say some, I would like to say something to him. You know, everything that you've walked through and everything that you've been through, you can become a survivor. You may have been a victim to some really bad things, but I want to tell you, by telling your story is a way of healing. It's a way to help heal the pain, the hurt, the anger. I've prayed upon it, and I want to tell you, if you are listening, I have been very abused in a really bad situation, very similar, and I want you to know that it's okay. It is okay to come out here and speak your word. It is okay. There are people out here that love you, and they love you for what you have. You all, you boys and Summer, had to walk through, and my heart goes out to you and the boys and Summer. But don't ever be afraid to speak. Let God lead you into something that will bring forth good fruit. Maybe it's to advocate for it. Maybe it's to advocate for the children that are still being abused. Maybe it's to make other people see that don't understand how bad it really is. When you tell your story, I believe you will find that you have a lot of support, and God in heaven knows what has happened. He's seen it all. But do understand, I am fully wishing nothing but the best for each one of you. And you can overcome it. You can overcome it with the Lord's help. You can become that survivor. You can go on with your life and be productive. And don't let anything from your past stop you in your future. Because what's behind you is not what is in front of you.
Amen. Amen.
And I really wanted to say that because I wanted to give encouragement. If he is listening or if he is not, I love and support, even though I have never met these children. But knowing what they had to walk through brings me to tears. And yes, I had a very, very bad childhood. And I just want you to know, I want him to know, and his brothers to know, that the people that may bash you, pay them no attention, because there's people out here that will wrap their arms around you and support you the whole way. And especially, there's a lot of people out here they don't know what it's like, but there are people out here that does. So I wanted to let you know that I'm praying deeply for you. I wish nothing but the best for you and your brothers and even Summer. And this was laid on my heart to say tonight. It was spoken to me, and I wanted to say just this: is don't ever let anyone put you down. Don't ever, people that don't has not walked through it does not know. And yes, there will be people that will be shocked, and there will be people that will tell you that it didn't happen. I've been there, but it's okay. You know it did. And
Absolutely.
you don't have to prove yourself to anyone. And I just want to say that because it was laid on my heart to do so.
And there will be people who will accuse him of being out here, which already started. It's already started. They will accuse him of being out here for support and support only. And that is so not true. Um, and he should not allow these people already trying to plant that seed out here because they are 100% behind the whales and not the victims. He should not allow that to stop him from coming out here and getting the justice that him and his brothers and his little sister most of all deserves.
Amen. I totally agree. Um, to have that voice, it took me till I was 42 years old to speak about my abuse, what I had went through. I hid it. I didn't say anything. When I did say something, people turned a blind eye. My life was in danger, but that's okay because God brought me through it. Jesus walked before me, with me, and even carried me. So I just want to tell people that, you know, there's a lot of good people out here, and they far outweigh the bad.
Absolutely. It don't seem,
Evil,
but we do.
evil is everywhere. You can find it anywhere and everywhere. But you know what? The people that's got the Lord's in if they believe in God, then you know what? They're not going to be the ones that are going to be bringing evil to you. They will be the ones trying to push it away from you.
Hmm. I agree.
I just really, this has been laid on my heart now for 2 days, and I needed to say it. I don't know why, but God does. But I really think justice. I didn't get justice. Justice never came for me. But in this situation, they are people that knew what was going on. They knew. They turned a blind eye. And you know what? They will have to pay for that on Judgment Day.
Absolutely. I am so
Because
sorry. I am so sorry to hear that you went through so much. God bless you.
it's okay. I just wanted to share that out there because I'm not a victim.
No, you are an advocate. You are being an advocate right now for this little boy. And I am so proud of you, and I'm so thankful to God for letting this be the space where you were able to be called to say all of these things.
Thank you, PG. Much love to you. I don't want to take up much of your time.
Oh, you
I
take as
just
much
felt,
time as you want. You take as much time as you want, sweetie. That's what we're here for.
you know, when it's when God, I receive, you know, the word. I'm not sure how to release it, but coming here, in hopes that my voice would be heard. It took me a long time for my voice to be heard, but it's okay. I got a voice now. And I encourage anybody to speak it out. You know, I'm not telling you that you will, every situation you can get justice for, but their situation is different. Um, they still, these people are still there. In my case, that was not the fact, but that's okay. You know, I know that, justice will be served by God Himself, on Judgment Day, you know, um, and I've made peace with it. I have made peace with it. You know, for many years, I was angry. I've never used substances to,
Try to overcome it.
I guess, block it out of my mind. There is no blocking it.
No,
Um, there's
substance
no
abuse
blocking it
makes it
with
worse.
substance abuse.
It just makes it worse. Now you got two problems instead of one.
Amen. Amen. I'd never done that. Um, I think if I could have got help at a younger age, my success would have been much greater. Um, but nobody knew. The ones that did know said it, that was water under the bridge, you know. So I lived with it inside of myself. But when it came spilling out, when God let it flow, if it flew on me like a river. I mean, it flowed out. So that story or those stories, that has happened, they're unique to everyone. Everyone is different. There's a lot of people that's not walked through that, and it's going to be a shock. But those that have been abused in different ways will not be shocked at all.
No,
In, fa- in fact, the tears will probably run from my face, um, of hearing just how bad these children have had to live. You know,
you know, just hearing Summer on that 911 call
mm,
made me want to cry. Just seeing them cut her hair, to cut her bald headed the way they did, and to make her look the way she looked. You know, she was still beautiful no matter what, but she didn't feel it. She didn't feel it, and they did it as punishment and as way to save their own asses. And
mm-hmm,
you just see the abuse, the extreme of abuse they would put a child through to save themselves. And It was just so sickening. It's just so sickening to see. I can't even hardly look at the picture of Summer with her hair gone like that because it does. It'll bring tears to your eyes. You wonder to
Oh,
yourself, how could anyone, how could anybody before ever do something so evil to a child so beautiful as this little girl? Why would you not protect her? Why would you not be there and make sure no harm came to her? She was a precious gift from God. How could you abuse it? I don't know. I don't know.
there is so much evil out here that surrounds, and I believe surrounds this case, which I have listened to from, almost the beginning. Um, and living in the house with psychopath, for many years, as an adult, I wondered if, you know, I, I don't know how to put that, but, like, did that rub off on me? You know, and I guess when you have compassion and empathy, you're looking inside yourself, trying to see, did their evil, I guess, become your evil?
No,
And
absolutely not.
that
Absolutely
was
not.
my thought when I was young.
No.
It scared me, but I'm gonna tell
Their
you,
their evil belonged to them, and
right,
it was not ever about us. It was not ever about us. It was all
you're
about them and all about that what they wanted and what they wanted to do, and they did it. And we paid the price. We paid the price until we were able to understand that it had nothing to do with us. It had all to do with them, and they already took so much away from us, and we have to not let them take any more. We have to be able to get our life together, and we have to be able to live the life that we want to live and not let them traumatize us any longer, because it wasn't ever about us. They didn't give a fuck
right,
about us. It was, it's all them. And if and it's not that they didn't get enough from us when they were doing all the evil stuff, but we punish ourselves and continue to allow these mother freakers to live rent free in our heads and our body, minds, and souls, and they don't deserve no space there. They don't deserve no space anywhere, and God will, we don't get justice on earth, which I didn't get justice as well. I didn't get any as
right.
well. But I tell you what, I know God's going to get justice, and that's all that
Oh,
matters.
he will. He will. And for a long time, it took me, and I even said that, in my mind, like, if I can't forgive what was done to me, you know, then I might not make it to heaven. If I can't forgive, not forget, but forgive, then, you know, it took me a long time to be able to
I
say,
think, I think God understands that, I think God understands that we want to forgive and we're doing
mhm,
everything we can to forgive. And maybe we have, and maybe in a lot of ways we have forgiven, but God knows we can't forget. And He knows the trauma that we went through. He knows the trauma that it's caused us. He knows, everything. God knows everything. He knows we talk to Him every single day. And He knows that, um, that some things are a constant reminder. You know, some things are I mean, it depends on really how bad they wounded you. Um, and how much, damage they caused to you. And I think God understands that, if you're left with wounds and you're left with damage that, that shows up and appears at certain times, and um causing you to have to relive the same situation, and you get angry because these people were evil enough to do such evil things to you, that would you know that would inflict you so badly, um for eternity, pretty much, what time you're here anyway. I think he would understand, you know you fighting, you fighting with that forgiveness. I mean, sometimes, at certain times, you can forgive and try to get past it, and um other times, it feels like you didn't forgive. It's other times it feels like you're still holding on to the hate and the anger and everything that these people have caused, all the repercussions they have caused you to have to live with. And and you're struggling. And Jesus came here, he knows what it was to struggle, um with the evils of people in the world. And and even having, seem like his own people turned against him, and you know put him on that cross. Matter of fact, we all did. Every last one of us put him on that cross because we couldn't be good enough to keep him off of it. None of us could be good enough to keep him off of it. And even though we want to, we wish we could be, and we wanted to, um, we weren't. And that's what got him there to begin with. And so he fully understands, what it is, and what we're dealing with, and what we battle with every single day. He also knows, God knows, and Jesus knows that, you know, our anger is real because of what someone did to us, not because of something we did. We weren't the predators. We were the victims. And
Yeah,
and we're trying to get over it. Even sometimes the victim will say, "Why, God, didn't you make it stop? Why didn't you not even let it happen? You're all powerful God. Why did I have to go through this? Why did you not stop it? Why didn't you give me the better people? Why did you even let me come here at all?" A lot of things can go through victims' minds, right?
it can. It can. But I really understood the purpose because I was the one that was targeted. Um, and he targeted me not because of my age, but because my belief in God. He
Oh, wow.
could not break me. He could not break me. He broke my bones. He broke a lot of things, but he could not break my spirit. Um, and he tried, for years, and he could not break me. And no matter, I mean, my life was put on the line so much that I want to tell everybody, you know, God has saved me from things that people will never understand. Um, when He holds back ammunition off of your head, and that happened with me. That happened with me. I'm gonna tell you, we serve a mighty God.
And we
For
Yes, we
them to
do.
for
Yes.
them to turn around and unload that,
Mhm.
you know, and there was no safety. Just to let you know, there was no safety.
Wow.
So I'm trying to tell you that God has been there, even though I was saying, Lord, please just take me out of the hell I'm living on earth. Well, it was not my time because he stopped it.
Amen.
So if we serve that mighty of a God that can stop that from happening, I just want to tell people out there that he don't make mistakes.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, it might feel like you were put in the wrong place at the wrong time. But you know what? What rises up out of it is a strength that nobody will ever understand.
You know,
They won't.
sometimes God puts us through things. So, when you say, why God, why did you not stop it? Why did you let this happen? Um, why? I tell you, I tell you why. If you look for why, you'll find it. And why is because you you went we go through some things in order to help other people. Sometimes, we're done like that in order to keep other people from being done like that, to be able to open our eyes, to keep watch, and to make sure others are not ever done the way we were done. It's to save other people. Maybe it's to save your friends by, by letting them
I
know
have
letting them
I
know
have
that they need to turn a person in before it goes any farther. Maybe it's to save your own children, your grandchildren, maybe a cousin, a niece, a nephew. It's the reason it happened to you was, and maybe you're done that way so you can be an advocate for other people that have been done that way, so they'll have somebody that they can that they can actually talk to, that'll understand everything they're going through, and you'll be able to help them by techniques you've learned you know through it happening to you. And um and and a lot, what I'm saying is, good comes out of all evil. If you look for the good,
mhm.
find it.
I totally believe that 100%, PG.
It is so true. Every bad thing in my life, every bad thing in my life, I could see at the time. I didn't see the good, but with time, I saw the good that came from that evil. And I'm going to tell you, most of the time, that good was greater than the evil that I had to endure, by evil human beings. So, you know, I thank God every day, every single day. I thank Him for what built me to be who I am.
Yes.
I thank Him every day that I'm not like the evil ones that were so evil to me.
Oh, I know what you mean. Trust me. Um, I could never be, I have a compassionate heart, and yes, I have spoke to people that's been in abusive situations. I have spoke to people that, children. I have done, you know, honestly, I have made reports on people, um, for them to go in and check because, you can tell it, you can see it when you've been through it.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
know, it's no bogus thing. Like, oh, you know, so this person just whipped their child on the hiney, with a diaper on. No, it's not like that. No, it's some totally far beyond those realms of things. But you know, when you see bruising on a child, um, that you know it's not just a stumble and fall, because this isn't one. It's not a one-time occurrence. Um, children will speak honestly to you because they're so pure at heart. You know, when you ask them, you know, yeah, some of them may give a story that, you know, the parents train them to say, but also you say, okay, what really happened? It's okay if you tell me what really happened, because if you do, I can make it stop. And believe it or not, you know, children has some of them will just be so, you know, they come out with such an honest answer
Right.
because they have not been damaged by the lies, you know, and they're not fearful when you get them away from somebody they can't speak in front of. But
When children,
anyway, I did.
most of the time, people, these predators that are
Mm-hmm,
around children, they try to, they get these kids very young, usually
uh-huh,
3 to 4 years old. They pick on 3 to 4 year old children. They tell these children that, if they tell, they're going to be taken away, that they're going to be the one put somewhere, and because they know the child's afraid to be taken, away by police officers or by strange people and taken away somewhere, that because the child thinks, oh my God, it would even be worse where they're going to take you. And children don't understand, you know, that this person's scared and this person don't want you telling because, they're the one going to be taken away. They're the one that's going to be, in trouble. And even if you got took, you're going to go somewhere probably better than where you're at now and the things being done to you. But they want to, they groom that kid and they fill that kid's head full of, BS, and they get very controlling over that child. That's one of the main things that, a parent wants to look for is someone that's trying to control their child. That's
mm-hmm,
a very bad sign when, if you see a dad or a stepdad or, an uncle or anybody, trying to control a child. Um, Basically, this every move, where it should go, where it shouldn't go, who it should talk to, who it should talk to. If they're trying to keep that child isolated away from certain people and certain things and so forth and so on, and they're always, seem to follow this child into isolated areas, like going up the stairs after the child, or out the door after the child, and so forth and so on.
mm-hmm.
You should be very suspicious. You should, and that's an eye opener. That's something that you should um, watch and listen and follow up on and try to get to the bottom of why this is going on. I mean, it could be nothing, but it most of
Right,
the time is probably something. And I don't care what sex the child is. I don't care if it's male or it's female. It
that's
doesn't
right.
matter. It doesn't matter. You need, just because it's your son and a dad or a stepdad is, following it up the stairs and following it here and doing, you know, I'm going to tell you, it doesn't matter. It could still be the same exact thing if it would have been a little girl. So you really need, and people like, oh, not my kid's stepdad, or not my kid's dad, or or even the mom, um, or aunt or an uncle. The family don't want to believe that you know they got this monster running around, and they want to be a blind eye to it, and that is the worst thing you could ever do for yourself and for the victim, because turning a blind eye is just going to, it's just going to, at some point, it's, this is what I don't understand about um, essayers. This is the one thing I don't understand about them. This child is not going to be a child forever. This child is one day going to be a man looking you in the face, or a woman looking you in the face, and knowing what a sick, disgusting, low life, horrible, evil, monstrous human being that you truly are. They're going to be looking right in your face, and they're not going to be a child any longer. They're going to be an adult. And they're going to know exactly how disgusting you are. You won't be able to hide it any longer. And there's probably going to be some repercussions from it. And all of those people turning their blind eyes, or, accusing this child of lying, or whatever the case may be, that child's going to be looking at them as an adult too, and seeing weak, mother freaking weak human beings, weak spines, weak minds, just weak human beings that didn't know how to save themselves, let alone anyone else in this world.
That is so true. You spoke a mouthful right there. Yes. Because as I gained older, um, I become more courageous, and it was fixing to get really, really bad. And I'm glad that God removed that person out of my life, because I do believe that I had fought with for so long that, from age 4 to um, age 12, that I was beginning to gain strength to, I don't want to say harm them, but to gain strength to overcome them.
Right.
And I did try to tell. I tried to tell many people. I tried to tell teachers. I wrote a note and said, if I don't come back to school, please come look for me.
Oh,
Um, I will not be alive.
wow.
I wrote that and I put it on the teacher's desk. And that was my way of saying, help, please
Hmm.
help.
Right.
Help me and my siblings. I was the youngest, and I was trying to take care of the older ones, and I had two younger than me, but I was the one that was trying to protect them, because I could see, it was almost like I could see what his next move was going to be, and they couldn't.
Right.
And I had, them as adults say, "Oh, that never happened." I was, put away, hidden for a good bit of while bones were healing. I never got to go to a hospital. But, I'm here to say to this young man, there are people out here that have suffered some of the worst kind of abuse that you can imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Don't be afraid to tell your story.
Nope.
And the people that hurt you, you have an opportunity that I didn't have. I never had that.
We don't, you know, and it's true. And it's true. Um, it since the 2000s, since the early 2000s, going into the here and now, the door has been open. The door has been open for victims to come forth, for victims to be able to speak, out and tell their stories and to get it off their chest and to and get a little bit, of the compassion that they so seeked and didn't ever feel that they had during all of this trauma and horrible ordeals that they were going through. And it, and it really feels good to know you got people at your back, and and others just like you understanding how hard it was to have to, as you said, just live with it and keep your mouth shut, and and feel dirty as if somehow it was all your fault and something was wrong with you, and that's why it all happened to you. And and not understanding that it really didn't ever have anything to do with you at all. It was all about them. They were the sick person. They were the ones with the issues. They were the ones that had a problem. There was nothing wrong with you at all, other than you was in the wrong place at the wrong time and became the victim of these sick human beings that wanted to abuse and use and exploit you. And it was no cause of your own, and you were defenseless. You were a child. You were just a child, and they worked, this evil worked to destroy you and to build all of that ugliness within you. And you didn't feel you had any way to um, let it out, um, other than going out there and just, when you're old enough to get away from it all, going out there and getting into whatever you could, so you didn't ever have to think about it. You didn't, whatever could distract you from the monstrous um, acts that these people done, and did to you. You were doing everything you could to throw it behind you, keep it behind you, and usually you got into the fast lane. Usually you were out there flying high, right? And
Hmm.
everything you possibly could do not to think about it or ever have to go back around it or to it. And only thing in your mind is escaping it. and and the only way you can escape it was to face it and to face the truth about it. And that took the courage to understand it had nothing to do with you, and
Yeah, I
realize
did have to
who
face
the human being was, you know who the real person that caused all of this, who it all belonged to. None of it belonged to you, and you shouldn't have been carrying it, but you were. And it was time to
it.
lay it down. And until you do that, you're not going to heal, and you're not going to move forth the way you're supposed to. And even myself, it took a while to to come to that realization. It took a while. And I came from a house of hell. I came from a place that, I went through many types of abuse. And
Right.
there wasn't nothing. I wasn't afraid of anything because there was nothing out there in the world that was worse than what I was already enduring inside my home. And I was mean. I'm not going to lie. I was mean as hell. There was no bully anywhere willing to step up.
Mhm.
They wasn't willing to step up to me because I'm going to tell you what. The only thing I could think of was I didn't care if there's one or five. The only thing in my head is the one I got a hold of is going to sure wish I didn't. And I'm going to tell you something.
Right.
I was mother freaking fearless and didn't care and I had no compassion. I had no compassion. I had nothing on a person who I didn't ever go at anyone. I wanted everyone to be my friend. But if you came at me, let me tell you something, you wouldn't ever do it again. And I didn't care how. I had no mercy, no compassion. I didn't care how I had to make that happen. I just knew that you're not going to do it again. And
Right.
and and I was very, very, you know, um, I guess you could say I was mean. I was absolutely fearless and just mean. And that's the way, you know, that abuse can make you. And that kind of trauma can make a human being um to where once you're out of it, you're not ever taking any abuse again from no one.
Oh,
And
you're so right.
people will understand that. And the people you love, they're not going to take abuse either as long as you're around. If you're there, they're not going to be taking none either. You have
Yeah, you're right.
to be
Yeah.
stepping up and stepping out for them.
Hmm. Yeah. Any of my family is, I can tell you, I would do whatever it took to keep any of my family, or even if I seen something happening and it wasn't even to do with me, I'd probably get right in the middle of it.
I'm going to tell
Bad
you,
as it is.
I know for a fact. I know I will. Trust me, I've done it. I've done it many times, many times. I'll tell you what. I don't care how big they are. I don't care if they're male, they female. I don't care. I don't care. You know, I learned very young. There's more ways to skin the cat than one, right?
Oh
And
yes.
and that's just the way it is. And you know, I ain't gonna tolerate it. I'm not, I'm not a kid anymore. I'm not a child anymore. I'm a grown ass adult, and ain't nobody ever going to abuse me. After I hit 15 years old, there was nobody ever abusing me again, ever. I mean, that's, at the time I was done. I had it, and I just that's the time I just from then on I took care of PG. From then on, I worked.
Right.
I paid for everything on my own. I bought my own clothes. I bought my own food. I took care of myself. You know, there was nobody ever going to do anything to me again. Absolutely not. But later, later, and this is why I say family will fuck you first. That evil bunch to come
Oh
back.
yeah.
They came back, the cowardly bastards, and took a whole new approach. They took a whole new approach, still trying to destroy PG. And I'm going to tell you something. I come from one of the most evilest bunch of motherfuckers that you would ever meet in your life. Ever. Worst bunch of son of bitches you could ever meet. And they still are. They still are. If they died today, I spit on their grave. And that's the truth.
I can understand that. I really can.
That's
Um,
the truth. They
there's
put
some people that you
they put in
that
PG to hell. And I
they don't
done
change.
I was always there for him. Always there for him.
Hmm.
Always there to pay their debts. Always there to help them. Always there when nobody else was there. PG was there for him. I mean, you would not believe the. Anytime my phone rang, I was there. Even if I was busy with my own life, doing my own thing, I'd stop because they're family. I'd stop to go help, go do whatever needs to be done. And you know what? They repaid me with pure evilness, complete pure evilness. I don't have a damn thing to do with them anymore. I'm going to tell you what, because of them, I got baptized.
Yeah,
I got my eyes open.
yeah.
I saw the evil that they truly were. And
Hmm.
I seen the evil that I was by having connections to their evil asses. And I'm
You
going to
know,
be honest with you.
that's just toxic. They're toxic
They
people,
were. They were.
and you just have to
I could see my
remove
own.
them from your life.
I could see, what they had made me become. And
Hmm.
I'm going to tell you, God took that away, and I had my eyes open. And I thank God. I thank God every day. Like I said, greater good comes out of evilness, and it did. And when my eyes were open, I had nothing else to do with these people. I shunned them son of a bitches, and I didn't want them around me ever again. And I don't have anything to do with them today. Nothing at all. I nothing to do with them because I can't understand how you can mistreat someone who loved you so much, cared so much about you, was there for you anytime that you needed me, but you could fuck me over the way you did. You could hurt me the way you did. You could have so little damn compassion when I had so much. Fuck people like that. I don't need that shit in my life. Family or not family. I don't need it. And I won't tolerate it.
I won't either.
And you have to be like that because I'm going to tell you these people are wicked as hell in this world and they're not out to do anything but destroy you out of their own fucking envy, their own jealousy, and their own damn thoughts of how they can gain from destroying you.
Oh, I've had it. I promise you. You know, people that's tried to wreck my marriage. I
I,
left home at 14.
they try to
I've
wreck
been
your
married.
whole life. They'll try to wreck your
They
whole life.
try to split me apart, saying I've done something I didn't do, or he's done something he didn't do, or this, that, and the other, just to try. If I did not know him as well as I did and do, and he didn't know me and trust me the way that he does, honestly, there would have been people that could have got a foot in the door and done that, just wrecked our whole life.
Absolutely.
It
Absolutely.
was just pure evil. And I said, you got to go. You got to go.
That's right.
I want no part of it.
Absolutely.
God
No.
bless you. You have a nice life, but you got to get a life outside of this door.
Right? Right? And I tell you the sad thing is, you know, I don't wish the worst for them. I really don't. Bad shit happens to them. um, bad things happen to them. And, for a long time, not so much now as before. Um, the more I've come to understand how evil and awful these people are. But I actually, bad things happen to them. I actually didn't want it happening to them. I would pray for them. You know, I would ask God to, or if it was, like really had me worried, I'd go and and do what I could to try to just long enough to get them back on their feet or whatever. And and I was still very compassionate, but I'm at a point now, you know, that I just don't, I don't care. I don't care what happens. I mean, I'm at a point now that they don't mean nothing to me. They no longer, I don't miss them. I don't worry about them. I don't care about them. I mean, it's like they're a distant past that I want nothing to do with. And I just want them to stay away from me. Leave me the hell alone. And I'm at a place, a place that um, I know all their dirty tricks and, and
Right.
who and how and what they are. And I'm going to tell you, you haven't ever seen the whales. Oh, them motherfuckers are evil, but I'm going to tell you what, they can't hold a candle. Those motherfuckers up on Ben Hill Road don't even hold a candle to how evil the son of a bitches that I come from are.
Mm.
They don't even hold a damn candle to it. Those mother freakers that from my family, I'm going to tell you what, you, they straight up freaking please and appease the devil every single day. They want to please and appease the devil. Straight up, they do. They're a bunch of freaking witches. That's what the hell they are. I'm not gonna lie. They're a bunch of fucking witches and warlocks. They're into
Oh no, I
serious.
can't handle that. No, I couldn't handle that. Mm-mm.
They're meaner than fucking hell. They're meaner than hell. They're evil as fuck. And I tell you what, they had the audacity to try to ask me to join in their evil bullshit. I told them no. I told them hell no. I ain't ever doing that shit. No
Good
way
for
in
you. I I would never.
God. And my family, me and my household, we serve God and God Almighty only. I'm gonna tell you what, God is my number one, not Satan. I ain't afraid of Satan, and I ain't afraid of them, because I know all their tricks. I know all their damn tricks. God makes his children way smarter
Yes,
than freaking devil and what the devil
yes, he
can do.
does. He does at that, PG. Yes, you're 100% right on that one. You know what? You really do know when you are getting played, and you know how they coming at you.
Um,
Um,
they all going to hell.
it, it's really obvious.
Some of them already have. Some of them's already hit hell wide open, and it's just a waiting game for the rest.
Well, I didn't mean to come up and take so much of your time, and I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to, drop in your chat, but I just felt it in my heart to say what I needed to say, which was, you know, don't be ashamed. It's happened to other people.
Yeah. And if he
To
wants to come out here and he wants to share his story, we're going to be here to listen.
Amen.
And if he comes here, I hope you come up on panel. I hope you tell him all the things that you said tonight. I hope that you're a real advocate for him, the same as I will be. And I'm sure many in this chat will be as well. And I want him to know that we love him. We love his brothers. We love his little sister. And
Absolutely.
we just want we just want the peace and the closure for him and his family. And I will be so proud of him being the voice for his little sister that she no longer has. God bless him. If he comes out here,
So,
does what I'm hearing he's going to do, I commend that little guy. And yes, we will rally behind him. And I'll tell you what, I'll be the first. I'll be the first here to let everybody know they won't be giving him no trouble. They won't be giving that little guy no trouble. I ain't going. No white boy's going to give this kid any trouble when he comes out here. No Benny Key's going to give this kid any trouble when he comes out here. There ain't no damn body going to be giving this young boy any trouble when he comes out here. I know white
you know,
boys.
I was saying, I just want to say, I have nothing but love for him in my heart, even though I've never met him. Um, and compassion for what he's gone through, what the children have gone through.
Right,
And there is no way that I could ever, knowing what we know, not be on his side.
right.
Um, because nobody deserves that. Nobody.
No, no. And white boy already. Did you know he already came out and he already tried to plant the dirty seed in all of our minds that this boy's going to be like Hunter and his dad and just come out here for the support and what he could get from everybody and tell a bunch of lies. And he's already working for the Wells. That dude is the biggest Wells butt kisser that I ever met in my life. I mean, straight up, he's got some infatuation with freaking Don Wells that is just unnatural as hell. And he's already, you know, trying for Donnie and Candace. He's already trying to throw a monkey wrench in this young boy coming out to lay his burdens down and get some support through all that he's went through in this life. He's already trying to back the child down and destroy you know this child's voice out here where everyone wants to help and no one wants to harm except people like white boy and Benny Keys and them, who for some reason have an unhealthy obsession with these mother freaking predators.
Wow.
I don't understand it. You know, Benny Keys was over there sleeping with the enemies, right? He sleeps with the enemies. Um, he was sleeping with Candace, Grandis. Oh my God, that's disgusting. He might have slept with
Mhm.
Alice if she'd gave him an opportunity. And he definitely with the West boys, he was sleeping with this woman that wasn't even supposed to have them little boys because the dad was gone. She's supposed to turn them over to CPS and let them go back to the mother, but she keeps them in her house unless one of them end up gone and the other one was about to get gone, you know. Um, and thank God it didn't. But he's over there sleeping with that, right? I mean,
Right.
go figure.
And you got to look at the source that it's coming from. What kind of compassion does he have? Either one of these people that we're talking about,
He has no compassion.
um, you know, what do they bring to the plate?
You know,
You
out
know,
out here in this community, you got to weed out. What you got to weed out is you know, the ones that are not for the kids but the money, and the ones that's not for the money but the kids. You know,
That's right.
you got to understand, if these people are um worried about, they're more concerned about the money than the child, you shouldn't be supporting them. You shouldn't be supporting their channels and stuff. If they're for the children and not the money, these are the people you want out here. These are the people you want, running this community and keeping their channel going, because they're the ones that are truly, not only for the victims. If they're for the victims, really for the victims, they're for you. They are for you and everything you're about. But if they're not for the victims, then believe me, they're not for you. They're only for what they can get out of your pocketbooks. And when I first came out here, they was doing a really good job at emptying up people's purses. Um, and that's one of the reasons I got so much hate, and I still do. I still do, and that's another reason. They want to always say things about PG, like, and she wanted Donnie, and she's just got some kind of vengeance against these people because of this or that. I'm going to tell you what. God knows the truth, and God knows everyone that speaks that is a liar. They are a liar. They're not telling the least bit of truth. And I'm going to tell you what, nobody likes liars. God don't like liars, and neither does no one else. And I'm going to tell you, liars, who they say, who's your daddy? If you're a liar, who's your daddy? Well, I'm going to tell you, Satan's your damn
Satan.
daddy if you're out there lying.
Satan.
Mother freakers are bearing false witness against PG. They've been bearing false witness against me just because I cared about a little girl enough to want to know what happened to her, just because I wanted one time a family not being the guilty mother freakers that did it, and I decided to get into this case and figure out what happened to this little girl and try to help this little girl. I have been prosecuted for it to the fullest, just because I gave a damn. And that's hard to live with. That's hard to live with, people coming at you sideways, people hating on you, people disliking you, and so forth and so on, and spreading lies about you just because you gave a damn, and you were willing to go, as far as it takes to have this little girl found, brought home, and justice served. You're willing to do the hard work to try to figure out everything that happened in the case so that it can be solved. It's a sad situation, when you work so hard and you're so disliked because you're opening the people's eyes up to how damn evil the community that they've joined really is, and
Mm-hmm.
how it's taken them all to the cleaners, and you're calling the truth out on these dirty savages, and and they are able to still manipulate humans into into the way they want them to go. And the Bible plainly says, the blind lead the blind, and they'll all fall in a ditch together. And that's pretty much what's happening out here in this community. As you got all these people, like, with JLR. And I don't know if he did this to this girl or not, but she says he did. She's showing pretty good proof that he did. And and I don't know, but I have heard some stuff, some real stuff. But people are saying,
Right.
we don't care about her. They still want to follow someone that could do such evilness. And I'm like, what can you do about it? There's nothing you can do about it. I mean, you know, I'm waiting. I'm waiting to see how it turns out. If this woman did lie, then she should go to jail. But if he did what she said he did, then he should be the one in jail. So I'm
I
waiting to
agree.
see which in which direction this goes in. But I don't want it to be true. But I find that most things I don't want to be true is true. And that's just how life is. And but you also You also have, Benny Keys, who, had no problem letting people know, snatch a kid, any missing kid, cash app, gang, make money from it. And people still support it. And it's like, how can you support savages like this that, that really don't care? They're just in it for what they can get. And, and they're not, people say, well, he's using a kid. No, he's using the chat. He's using all of these people, ignorant enough to follow him.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's using. And, so if you think the child's getting used and abused, it's not. The people supporting him are the ones really
Mm.
getting used and abused. And
You're right.
they're too blind to see it. And that's sad. It's sad, you know. And I
It
don't know.
really is that people can't open their eyes and see, you
No.
know,
And then you
the
have people
truth
like
that's right in the face.
you got people like Smalley that really cares about these kids, really does her homework, really gets into their cases, really calls out the truth. And she don't have hardly she don't get enough supporters to keep her channel going. Um, you know, and you have other ones that like Crime Lines and Lies. She works very hard, you know, on a lot of different kids and cases and stuff, calling out, you know, but she doesn't get enough views to keep her channel running as well. I mean, you know, it's sad that you just don't get enough support to really keep that you have to come out of your pocket to keep your channel running when you really care. And all of these other, these liars, these users and abusers that don't care about the kid, don't even know half of what's going on. They're just there rambling off with anything. They're getting more than enough to run their channels, and then a lot. And you're sitting there
Mhm.
thinking, wow, I guess, when they say the Bible says that evil's going to be called good and good's going to be called evil. Well, baby, we're here. You know,
We
the
are there.
the days of Noah's already upon the earth, and it's just a matter of the Lord coming back and taking all of His people up and letting you know. I'm sure that if God came tomorrow, or even now, if the Lord came right
Hmm.
now, rapture came right this minute, I'm sure that, probably, I don't know about JLR. I can't say his channel will still be there. I don't know. But I'll tell you what, I know Benny Keys would, and I know White Boys would, and I know, so you're pretty sure these people's going to be left upon the earth, right? When
Right.
the real evil rises up, and it's too damn late. Well, those people and their followers, they're going to still be there. That's just my opinion. I'm going to keep it.
Well, I'm with you, right? Our thoughts are on the same level with that right there, honestly.
And to
And
be
I'm so
honest with you,
sorry.
this channel won't be here. Trust me. This channel, this channel will be gone. This channel will be gone. Because PG,
Right.
I'm going to tell you something about PG. I done saw myself going up. I already saw myself going up. So I don't think I'm getting left behind. This channel ain't going to be here. I ran it righteously. I cared about everybody's medication. I cared about everybody's rent. I cared about food on everybody's table. I cared. I said, hey, if you don't got it, keep it. Don't give it to me. I don't want it. I couldn't sleep at night if you did. Don't give it. Hey, I'm going up.
I've heard you
I
say
don't
that.
need it.
I've heard you
That's
say that
what it's
many
about.
times.
Hey, that's a constant reminder for them. And I don't waste no time reminding everyone. I said it from the day I came here, and I've been saying it ever since. Don't give it. You can't afford it, don't give it. But it is.
Um,
It is
But
heart wrenching sometimes that, you don't even get enough to pay StreamYards,
right.
on all the apps and everything else it takes, but we're still here, and, we're still running, and that's all that matters, right? That's all that matters.
Glory be to God. Amen.
Amen.
Yes. Anyway, I'm gonna jump down from here, but I just wanted to speak out tonight because it's been laid on my heart, and
Hey,
you know,
if that young man ain't out here watching, I don't think God put it on your heart to say something that ain't going to be seen. I think that
it,
for some reason, I just felt he saw it tonight. I hope he did, and I hope
you
it
know,
helped. I hope it helps him with the transgression to come out
it,
and do what he's wanting to do. And I think he just needs to be a voice for his sister. I think he just
yes,
wants. I think he just wants everyone to know the truth of what happened. You know, but I believe Don and Candace is trying to get to him right now as well. I really do. Do you remember Candace saying, "I want to get my boys back. I want to get my boys back,"
oh, I
because
do.
she knew her boys could damage the hell out of her if
Hmm.
they started talking. She knew that. That's why she wanted them. I often wondered why they were pushing to get them boys back in such a hellhole and in such a bad atmosphere that they didn't shouldn't be in. Some shouldn't even have been in. And I thought the Child Protective Services should have stepped in and took them kids a hell of a long time ago away from the alcoholics and freaking substance abusers and evil using and abusing the shit out of them kids the way they did, and so forth and so on, and using those kids to be pervs, getting other kids around to groom them and do evil stuff with them, like Hunter and his sisters and them, and Marlena Crawford's little girl, and other people. But I was thinking to myself, these kids, why would they want push so hard to put these kids back in such a hellhole of abuse, um, when they don't belong there? And I thought to myself, wow, it just hit me that it's because they knew that Summer don't have a voice, but those boys did, and they wanted to silence those boys. They didn't want them back
Yes.
to love and care for and to be good to. They wanted them back to silence them and be able to keep a range on those tongues from
Well, that's
doing
exactly what I was hearing, PG, that to silence. That's why I came out here because you know what I was saying. Don't be silent. Don't be silent. It's
right.
okay. It's okay. Don't be afraid. Any of the fear that you have of telling your story, don't let the fear overcome you because
No,
what will come of it will set you free.
don't care what other people think. Don't let them stop you from being a voice for the voiceless or a voice for yourself. Don't ever let other people hold you back from getting what you need in this life to succeed. Because that's what everybody, evil people want to do. That's what the devil does. The devil wants to snatch you by the back of your britches and hold you back. He doesn't want you achieving everything in life. And he will use wicked, evil people to snatch your britches and keep you from becoming the successful human being that you want to become in this life. But I'm going to tell you, the devil can't stop nothing. that God's got for you. He's not going to, whatever God has for you, God goes before you. And whatever He has for you, you're going to get if you're on the right path. Now, you know, you got to be on that path that God goes before us, yes, on the righteous path. Jesus goes with us right on the righteous path. If you're not on the righteous path, you're not going to achieve what God's got for you. You're going to miss what God's got for you, because if you're not on the righteous path, then that means you're on the wrong path. If you're on the wrong path, the devil's going to have these evil people holding the back of your britches, doing evil things to keep you from succeeding and getting what God's got on the righteous path for you. That's why you have, a man on JLRs. The best thing I heard that day was this man said, "You want to get to heaven? Make a right and go straight."
Ooh, that's powerful.
Amen. And I'm going to tell you something. I said, boy, that's the best words I've heard in a long time. He is so right. Get up every day, take a right, and keep going. Stay on it.
Absolutely.
Stay on the path. And I'll tell you what, you'd be surprised at how many beautiful things the Lord has for you when you're staying on that path. And that's the path I want to be on. That's the path I fight to stay on. Sometimes I get off of it, but I'm going to tell you what, when I do, I pray that Jesus Christ comes. I said, Lord, you say when one of your sheep go astray, you'll come and pick them up. I'm straying. Can you come get me? I got to come back. I don't like to get off the path. It worries me. And being out here on YouTube, I often think, I've gotten off my path just being out here. I'm not going to lie. This is a worry to me because, when I'm not doing none of this out here, I'm not cussing. I'm not doing anything I'm not supposed to be doing. But when I'm out here and I'm into this stuff right here with all these people coming at you sideways and everything, I'm getting off my path, because two wrongs don't make a right. And you're supposed to be slow to anger. And out here, I try to be slow to anger, but these people can get to you sometimes. And, and I don't like the feeling. I don't like the feeling that all of this gives me out here. But I do it for Summer, and I do it for Michael Vaughn, and I do it for Sebastian, Jack and Lily, little Emmanuel. I do it for, little Quentin Simon. I do it because these kids need, us to be a voice for them. They need us out here advocating for them and keeping them in the spotlight, so that law enforcement and everyone will know, hey, we're here and we want these babies found. We want justice served. We're not going to, just forget about these kids like maybe you want to, but we're not going to let you. And we want their cases solved. And I feel that it does keep them on the path to solving the child's case. And a lot of times it gets the case solved with everybody being like this. And it's a great community if you use it for the right reasons. But it can also be, hell on wheels, because you got so many people, so many evil people wanting to, come at you in the wrong way and protect, evil people like the Wells and other evil people, as bad or worse than the Wells. And I don't understand that. There's something I don't understand, because the last time I checked, we're supposed to be protecting the righteous, not evil. We're supposed to, not even supposed to be having anything to do with evil people, right? We're supposed to be trying to get these people who are evil, locked away and put away or turned around to some righteousness. Back in history, if you had an evil person, everybody shunned them, and they had to live isolated, and they didn't like being isolated. So they finally, would get with God, or they would, do what needs to be done righteously, so they could be back with the righteous people and live a righteous life. And most people stayed righteous because they didn't want to be shunned like the evil person was. They didn't want to be isolated like the evil person was. And so they all stayed on the righteous path. But that ain't the way it is today. Everybody condones evilness. Everybody thinks, um, evilness is, cool. It's the way to be. It's, you know, like some kind of little clique, the mean girls, and all their BS, and there's nothing cute about it. There's nothing cute about being ugly and evil. And
No.
I'll tell you something else about ugly and evil. Is it, you might look in a mirror and you might think that yourself is really cute in that mirror, being all ugly and evil and everything. But I'm going to tell you something about ugly and evil. Give yourself a couple of years, and you're going to look in that mirror and you're going to see that demon protruding through your face. You're going to see that you're not as pretty and as cute as you used to be. Why? Because that demon took a hold of you. You no longer have a hold of it. It's got a hold of you, and it's starting to show through. And from there, honey, your outside starts to look just like your inside. And you're going to go downhill a hell of a lot quicker than you thought you was. You're going to go downhill like a snowball in hell. And by the time, you know, you're freaking 30, 40 years old, you're going to look like shit. And ain't going to be nothing cute in the mirror staring back at you except the ugly inside and outside of yourself. And see how cute it is then to be part of that little clique. Um, but maybe you don't, maybe people don't mind because, you know, they all look like demons, right? So
Hmm.
they don't mind being together. I don't know. I just know that I've seen the good people who are beautiful on the inside, and I've seen them stay beautiful on the outside. They looked in that mirror and they're cute on the inside and the outside. And at 45, they're still cute. At 50, they're still cute. At 60, 70, 80, I have seen 80-year-old women. I'm going to tell you what, they're beautiful, and they still got the light of God in them, shining through their eyes, a beautiful smile on their face, and they just look graceful and beautiful.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you something, ain't nothing ugly about them. Nothing ugly about them. But I've also seen ones that swiveled up and look like witches that I wouldn't knock on the damn door if, if there was freaking dollars to get. I wouldn't knock on the door to get it. Just saying. Right.
Yes. But anyway, I didn't mean to take up so much of your time and, with the chat and everything. I just wanted to say what I needed to say and um, come in here, say hello to you, ask you to pray for me. I'm praying for you, but I could sure use prayers. But I will tell you good night and I'm always out here somewhere, not I don't really go I don't really you know circulate out in the chat very much, but um it
I
you
appreciate
know
that
it
tonight
just
hanging out
I
with me.
listen. I listen.
And I tell you what, if you ever just want to talk, you can find me on Facebook. You're
Okay.
very interesting. I love talking with you. And
Oh,
you know, you want to hit me up on Facebook? We could chit chat behind the scenes.
okay, I'll do that. Okay,
I
sounds
appreciate it.
good.
Hey,
Thank you.
God bless. And I so appreciate you coming up and hanging out. And when I said I'm thanking God that you was able to use this panel to say what you needed to say tonight, I meant it. That is
Thank
the truth.
Thank you. I just it's been weighing on my heart, and I had to say
Hey,
it.
girl, you made me feel blessed. You made me feel blessed.
Thank you, PG, for all you do for Summer and the boys, and
Hey,
all the trouble that you went through out here. but know that there are people, that really are pulling for you, hoping nothing but the best for you.
I know that, and I so appreciate it. I really do. You know,
Okay.
times it brings tears to my eyes because there's so many friends I could have out here that I don't get to be, real friends with because I have to keep my identity private due to the evil ones that, have two faces. And if I trusted the wrong person, it could cost me and my family.
Yes. And that's okay. I mean, don't ever expose yourself or your family to any of these people out here, because they are some vicious people out here. And I want you to be safe, and I'll be praying for your family and prayers for you as well. And God bless you and have a good night.
Hey, you too, sweetheart.
All
God
right.
bless you.
Bye.
Bye
Love
bye.
you.
I love you too. You know it. She is a sweetheart. She's one of the kindest women I know. Um, and I know a few of you. I know a few of you, and I'm going to tell you, I probably ain't talked to all of you, but I've talked to quite a few of you, and you guys are amazing. You're amazing. And she said, how much she appreciates PG staying here and doing everything we do for summer and everything. I'm going to tell you, I couldn't be here if it wasn't for all of you guys. You guys, I'm going to tell you, you don't know the power you pack, but I want you to know the power you pack because I don't want you to ever be mistreated in anyone's chat when you pack the power. You're the chat is the ones that pack the power for the person sitting up here on this panel. If it wasn't for all of you, all of the supporters, the person would just be sitting up here alone, right? They'd just be sitting alone. And they know it. Trust me, they know it. And, that's why I get a lot of hate because I enlighten all of you in understanding the power you have and not to ever let anyone mistreat you. Don't let no one use you or abuse you. Don't let no one push you to go along with their BS because they're going to block you or they're going, don't let anyone ever put fear in you to make you be someone you're not. That's what I'm saying. Don't let them take anything away from you. Always be who you are and know the power that you carry in this world. And if it ain't for you, the freaking panel ain't worth a damn. Trust me. I want you to know that. I don't know how long PG's going to be here. I don't know how long, I'm going to be able to keep doing all of this. Hopefully, I'm trying to hold as long as I can because I want Summer found. I want her brought home. I want justice served. This plan, this was all put together for Summer. And I believe by God for Summer. And I just want this case solved. And we cover other missing children's cases as well, right? And I'm trying to hold. As tired as I am, you guys know I've got an infant. As tired as I am, I'm still here. And I'm still doing as much as I can do, for Summer. But how long can I do it? I don't know. I'm going to try to do it as long as we can. But if at some point PG can't be here, I want you guys to know the power that you pack and not to let anyone make you ever. I don't want to, I don't want it to go back to what it was when I first came out here. I don't want it to go back where these people act like a king or a queen sitting up here on a throne and everybody in the chat are peasants, and they have their little mods blocking you and booting you and timing you out like you're a 5-year-old. That's bullshit. You don't need that. You're grown-ass adults. You don't need people timing you out because you're not willing to say what they want you to say or go along with their propaganda. That's bullshit. And if it wasn't for all of you, their channel wouldn't be worth a shit. Trust me. You make it or you break it. So know your worth because they know it. And tell them they're going to treat you with the utmost respect or they won't be getting your views. That's what I'm talking about, let alone your support. Treat you with the utmost respect because that's what you get over here and that's what you should get in any chat you go into. And if you ain't getting it, you don't feel welcome, don't go back. Don't go back. Don't ever go where you're not welcomed. You do not feel welcome somewhere, don't go there again. Don't. Because all it's going to do is cause you hurt and pain and misery. And you don't deserve that and you don't need it. Find where you belong. Always go where you feel welcomed, where you feel loved and you feel cared about. Because that's where God wants you. Don't be going anywhere else. They don't know how to treat you. That's their problem, not yours. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. And you can find a lot better things to do. You could watch a good movie instead of them. You could read a good book instead of them. You can listen to other YouTubers and go other places than to listen to them. Just saying. Trust me. There's a lot of stuff out there. You can keep yourself busy with a lot more stuff than, listening to somebody's bullshit up on a panel that's treating you bad while you're in the chat. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I don't go anywhere I'm not welcomed. And that's the truth. Unless I'm just looking, unless I'm just looking to mess with the person. Like Day Day. I go over to her chat once in a while. And, I just go over there to remind her, that PG's still there. Right? I go over there. I don't know what it is with me and Day Day, but, we have to do a little something to one another or it wouldn't feel right. She be saying crap when I'm at Jinkies. So once in a while I have to go to her chat so she could say, ooh, look who it is. Look who's in our chat. It's PJ. PJ, why you got me blocked? Why you got me blocked, PJ? Why wouldn't I have you blocked? Right? You got me blocked too most of the time. What the hell you be talking about? I don't know. But, that's how it is once in a while. But anybody else's, I don't go to it. I don't go into anybody's chat. I don't feel welcomed. If they're a PG hater, I say keep hating, baby. I don't go around, right? Ain't going to give them time of day. And that's the way you guys need to be too. Don't give them the time of day. They don't deserve it. They don't deserve your time. Right? They need to learn to love instead of hate. Hey, I love you guys too. You know it. And I'm going to tell you, prayers going up for you. Prayers going up for you, Stephanie. Absolutely. As we go out of here tonight, please remember, send them prayers up for Stephanie. She's asking for prayers. Send them up for CJ. I know it was hard for her to come up here and do what she did, but I thank God that she done it. God, the Lord put something on your heart, man. You just got to say it. You just got to, you just got to put it out there. And there's nothing you could do. It's, if you don't do it, then it really bothers you that you didn't do it. And it takes a long time to get over it, right? And, in the Lord, the Lord's voice. When the Lord talks to you, you know it. Trust me. I've heard it many times. A lot of times, sometimes, Lord's put it on me to just walk up to people and give them some money. Just walk up to them. I don't even know this person. And the Lord's like, you need to give that person some money. And I'm like, what? Because I got to think about it. I got to think, okay, is this I got to listen real close now and make sure it's the Lord's voice, not my own or something, and it is, trust me, I knew it was when I heard it. I just, was thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do for money now? If I give them my money, what am I going to do? Right? Because sometimes the Lord asks for your last couple of bucks, right? Your last few dollars. And you're like, what? And because you done plan to get a hamburger, or something, right? You probably planned to get something. Now you ain't gonna get it. Figure you didn't need it anyway. When the Lord gets done with you, you figured you didn't need it anyway. You just walk up to the stranger and you tell them, hey, the Lord said give this to you. And you try to get out of there as quick as you can, right? You try to, you kind of want to run because you don't know this person, but you gave them your money. And you'll find, most of the time that person needed that money. That person, they're like, hey, I didn't know how I was going to get gas. Or, hey, I sure appreciate this. They needed it. And you'll find that you're supposed to do what you did. You'll find it was the Lord's voice, not your own, not anybody else's. It sure was his. And you're glad you helped. You're glad you did what you done. And no matter what and you're not worried. You're not worried about, where money's coming from. You just move on, right? And I tell you what, everything was okay. After you did it and you was worrying, you had that little bit of worry, before you done it. You had no worry after you gave that person that. You seemed to go back, get in your vehicle, leave, and not a care in the world. Everything seemed to be okay. And you know what? It was what you needed. What you needed came somehow, and everything was just fine, and you didn't worry about it. That's how it works. So don't ever be afraid. Don't ever be afraid to be good to people. I'm going to tell you, everything you give, you will get back. You will get back with more. That's what the Bible says. It says everything you give, if the Lord puts it upon you to give, give. Because you will get it back. In a few days, it'll all come back. And it'll come back with more. Because that's the way it works. So always live with open hands. Always live with a kind heart. Always do right. No matter what. Always do right. Be good to your enemies. Be good to them. You really just be good to them. Do what God wants you to do, man. Because this life's too short not to. This life ain't about anything other than getting to the next life. I want to remind you of that. It ain't about nothing but getting to the next life. And I know that we don't think about that. I know when we're feeling good and everything, we think about, cleaning our house and cooking dinners and hanging with the people we love and doing all kinds of other stuff, doing us, right? Doing me. And I know that, we think about all kinds of other things. We don't think about where we're going to end up with and at after this light's over. We're not even thinking about it. You better think about it. You better get up every morning, turn right, and keep going straight. You better get up every morning and know that your destination isn't where you work. It isn't where you shop. It isn't where you live or your kids live or anything else. Your destination is where you're going when this life is over. Stay on the right path. You're not going to hear the other YouTubers telling you about God. You're not going to hear them telling you. When I came out here, people were afraid to even speak about God. People were even afraid to talk about, I need prayers, pray for me. People were scared they'll be timed out or they would be kicked out and blocked if they talked about God or they talked about prayer or talked about anything like that. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to talk about my God. I don't care. I'm going to talk about my God out here because I serve an awesome God, a powerful God, a God that takes care of me every single day and does everything for PG and does everything for you. We serve a very powerful God that blesses us with another day, every day. So trust and believe me, I'm going to talk about my God. I'm going to be the first out here talking about my God. Hey, God is good all the time, and all the time he's good. And I'm going to tell you what, we talk about missing children. All of these you want to see these missing children again? You want to see them? Because I'm going to tell you something. Every one of these missing children are in heaven. Every one of them is going to heaven. Every last one. So if you want to see them again, you got to go to heaven. You want to see Summer? You got to see her in heaven. You want to see Sebastian? You want to see Michael? You want to see all of these kids? Jack and Lily? Emmanuel? You want to get up there and see all these kids? You got to do what you got to do on this earth to get to where they are. You can't be doing no bad. You got to do all good to get to where these children are, to see them again one day, just like you're going to see your loved ones, right? You're going to be up there with your loved ones. You got to do what you got to do on earth in order to get there. You end up in the other place, you ain't going to be seeing no kids in there. I mean, I'm sure we're going to know people no matter where we end up, right? You're going to know people, but it don't make me feel no better. Hell don't make me feel no better because I'm going to know someone. Man, I'm going to tell you what, I don't give a shit who I know in hell. I don't want to be there. That's just it. And I know I don't want to be there. I want to get my backside, burnt like that forever. Hell no. I want to go to the righteous place. I want to go where the sun shines all the time, right? That's where PG's heading. So make sure tonight you send those prayers up. Don't just send them up for the missing kids. Send them up for one another. Pray for one another because that's what God wants you to do. I mean, I know that, it's human instincts to want to pray for yourself. I know a lot of people's afraid to pray for other people. You know, some people's afraid to pray for somebody else. Don't be afraid of nothing. God didn't give you a heart of fear. He gave you a heart of courage, baby. He gave you a suit of armor. You fold them hands, you bow your head, and you pray to God for everyone, including yourself. And you pray for those missing babies on top of it. And you tell God how much you love him and how much power you know he has and how you know nothing's going to ever be able to touch you because you're in the hands of him and nothing can touch you there. You stick with the Lord and he's going to stick with you. Keep those spirits going up, you guys. No PG's praying for you. I'm praying for you. I don't know what you need. I don't know what you want. But I know God does. God knows everything. And I do know he does. And PG, I don't have no problem bowing my head and asking God, Lord, I don't know what these people need. I don't know what they want, but I sure do pray for them. I pray whatever it is that you answer all of our prayers in the name of Jesus Christ. And God, I pray that you let these babies be found. You let justice be served. But most of all, God, I pray that you give us the peace and the closure that we need out here where these babies are concerned because we love them, we care about them, and we just need them to know that they're with you and they're okay. And that this evilness gets put behind bars so it can't hurt or touch any more children the way it did them children. God be with us. Amen. Good night, you guys. God bless. Much love.